Brace yourself for some killer stories. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
For some killer Gundams.
4 ghoulish fables in one modern Gundam wing.
That is the 4th time that Kit has mentioned Gundam Wing to me.
I'm gonna
I'm
write
telling
it
you.
all
3
the time
times
now.
today. So
Legitimately all the
I
time.
know.
Every
Yeah,
week I'm
alright.
gonna work in Gundam Wing.
Do it.
This is episode 194 of I Hope You Suffer. My name is Carola. The fuck's that lady's
Carola.
name?
Corolla. My name is Mitsubishi.
Yeah, Adam Carolla. Cool guy.
Yikes.
Jesus.
And Jesus is here.
That's Gundam Wing.
Yeah, Gundam Jesus.
What Gundam?
Nailed him to a robot cross.
What Gundam Wing are you, Kit?
A Murray?
What?
I don't know. It was the first name that popped up when I googled Gundam Wing names.
Wait, what did you say?
A Murray?
Interesting.
No, that's Mobile Suit Gundam, not Gundam Wing.
Yeah, that's not the right. I was like, that's maybe a voice actor. No.
Whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm a fucking robot from one of the dumb robot series. Who cares?
I would probably be the Darkside, of course. Coolest Gundam.
I don't
Anyways,
know what the fuck either you were talking about.
I don't even know what I'm talking about. Apparently.
There are and let's move on.
Introduce yourself so I could tell you this cool trivia fact about this movie that we're going to talk about.
I'm Mobile Suit Gundam.
I will be Katie. Actually, I realized I never said what my name was last episode. And we had a bunch of people listening for the first time, so I am an enigma, I guess. So welcome if you're new here. My name is Katie.
This week,
Allegedly,
we are talking about
Mobile Suit Gundam.
Mobile Suit Gundam, and Tales from the Darkside, the movie from a year I don't have pulled up on my phone because I'm looking
1990 something.
I'm looking
90.
at some trivia, and I need you guys to know that Steve Buscemi and Christian Slater both worked with Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, okay.
It's just some trivia from IMDb.
I thought you were gonna say.
Wow,
What's his name from New York Dolls actually had that cat come out of his mouth.
Yeah, that was not special effects. That was method
He
acting.
can just do that.
That was not blatantly a Halloween cat prop. It was a real cat.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Dougie.
Yeah, so this was Katie's pick.
Yeah.
Why?
I liked it, so I picked it.
Sounds
I
so
actually,
accusatory. Why?
Yeah, tell me why you made me watch this.
What for?
I surprisingly don't have a long, heartfelt story to tell you about why I picked this one. For once, I literally just like it. It might be the first anthology that I saw. Like I definitely saw it before I saw Creepshow somehow, and I've just loved it ever since. Also, a bangerang of a cast, so
At
you
least
just
in
can't.
that first story.
Yeah, I mean, it does get less and less.
Every
but
story.
I don't remember anybody specifically in the third story.
James Remar, bro.
Yeah.
You got Raiden, Thunder God. Second
Looking
string
really-
Raiden, but still.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's
For a
looking
second, I
real
forgot
young.
what the third story was. I was like, I don't remember anybody.
It's
in
the
that
best one. Come on, Nathan.
I don't know. I have a deep tie with the first story because I remember seeing it when I was.
Were you a mummy in a past life?
Well, no, I saw it when I was like 8 or 9, And
Nathan was the mummy before in the
like
past life.
low key, one of the first things that terrified me as a kid was this mummy pulling the dude's brain out.
I love
Because
it.
I saw it way too young.
I would not like to have my brain pulled out.
No,
to be fair,
it sounds horrible.
especially as a youth. Right now, I think it would be cool, and
Right
I would
now,
appreciate
sure.
it.
I'm totally down now, but as a kid, I was
Be like,
not.
thank you, finally, for doing this.
Yeah, lots of. I definitely feel like when I was younger, mummies seemed like much more of a threat. Then I grew up and like realized that you're not like running into mummies on the street. A lot of mummy stuff back then, though. Like, yeah. So no, I don't really have. Except for that, I love it. And like I said last time, I feel like maybe it got like a like a special fancy Blu-ray release like recently. So I feel like people are talking about it more, but it just was one of those things that was like I loved that I just never really heard people talk about a lot. Because like to be fair, the TV show, not the best anthology of horror and or sci-fi. So I don't know. I just really like it.
I don't know if I ever saw any of the TV show.
I did, but I don't feel like first of all, revisiting it, it has like a very like home shot on video quality look to it. And I don't feel, even though it had like a lot of real big name people working on it, obviously George Romero, Stephen King, Clive Barker, et cetera, but like, I don't feel like any of those specific stories stand out to me the way that like certain episodes of Tales from the Crypt do or Twilight Zone or things like that. So like, I'm not going to say it wasn't good, but I just feel like it didn't have the same, it's not like regarded the same. That being said, you can get the whole series. It's like 4 seasons, I think, for like $25. So like, if anyone feels like they want to, I mean, I love like shows like that. Like, I would much rather watch like a serialized show like that than I would a movie, honestly. But I'm on a movie podcast, so you know.
Yeah, I like. I feel like this might be. I think I might enjoy this movie more than Creepshow. Like, I don't know, I'd have to rewatch Creepshow again, but like, I feel like I enjoy these 3 stories more than any of the stories in Creepshow.
I mean, I definitely do. So I'm glad to hear you say that.
Well, this was originally supposed to be Creepshow 3, right? And
yeah.
Obviously, all the naming and shit fell through or whatever. So George Romero and them were just like, all right, well, we'll just take Tales from the Darkside and do it under that name.
Well, the thing that's weird too is that like the second story, Cat from Hell, was like adapted from a Stephen King short story, but that was originally supposed to be in Creepshow 2, and they somehow just didn't have the budget for it. So like, I don't know. It's all kind of messed up.
They needed to get a bigger budget so they could get David Johansen to absolutely kill it as the Cat Hitman.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to get all that money for
what a king. I love David Johansen. I wish he was in everything.
Get Steve Buscemi in there, just
and James Remar
being the weirdest. Also, what people don't know is they had to pay a lot of money for Tom Cruise to be the mummy in this movie. So
yeah, which is weird because like they didn't really have to do anything to him aesthetically. He just showed up, but you know, big name.
Let's not forget that they spent all the money on Matthew Lawrence, also known as Jack from the later seasons of Boy Meets World.
Listen,
they knew he was going to be a star.
No, don't come on this podcast episode and pretend like you know about the Lawrence brothers now after what happened on the Swim episode.
I like Jack from Boy Meets World. Okay, I don't know. I don't know about brothers
on and on about the Matthew brothers
familial relations.
I just said the Matthew brothers.
I don't know what the hell's happening.
Joey Lawrence is a fake person. He was not Jack in Boy Meets World, so I don't care about him.
That's true. I will say big major props because Matthew Lawrence is my favorite Lawrence brother, of course. If you have a different favorite,
low
please.
bar.
Is he like the
Please
kid,
exit.
the little kid in the
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he's the little kid
the wraparound.
in the wraparound.
the kid from the hot chick? That's right. And Money Plane apparently.
He's but yeah, obviously
Modern masterpiece, Money Plane.
But
You want to see a
best known
dude
for
fucking an
Boy Meets
alligator?
World.
I mean, who doesn't?
I'm saying, I'm on that plane.
I don't want to know the person that doesn't.
I think I'd rather see the alligator fucking the dude. Silence.
Was one of you one of the? I'm just gonna move on. Was one of you one of said that you hadn't seen Mrs. Doubtfire?
I have,
No.
but I haven't seen it since since it came out.
Okay, well he's also in that. So I've
Yeah.
amongst many other.
Was he Mrs. Doubtfire?
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
he's also. Anyways,
Good for him. It's a good role to get.
He's been in a bunch of Lifetime stuff too. Anyways, we stand. Hopefully, I don't really know anything about him as an actual person, so
I'm ambivalent.
He double hockey.
I know air on the side of maybe he's not, but you know what? It's fine.
He didn't write cool songs like his brother, as far as I'm aware. So.
He started a band with Joey and Andy called Still 3.
Oh boy.
So this
Shot
movie
yourself in the
stars
foot, Nathan.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm assuming it's good.
It's probably great. Joey Lawrence Jr., aka Matthew Lawrence.
They have one song.
What is it? They only have one song?
It's all on Spotify, at least.
Oh.
It wasn't a very successful band.
Assuming this is the same.
Oh, I hate that.
This is 2017. This is
I
like
don't
well
think
past
so.
the time of.
I don't think there's no way.
That's definitely them.
You're too old to be starting a boy band
I mean,
in 2017. Come on.
The number one thing fans also liked is Joey Lawrence, so.
Oh shit, that's so weird. Yeah, that's really weird. Anyways.
End of episode.
That was it. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep, that was Tales
See
from
ya.
the Darkside.
The best. So this is an anthology, obviously, and the movie starts with the wraparound that stars, like we just said, Matthew Lawrence and also Debbie Harry.
Wow, these three brothers look rough now.
Do they? I haven't looked at him in a while. His headshot, I think, is still from Hot Chick, which was forever ago.
Yeah, I mean, I would make sure everybody knew I was in a Rob Schneider movie,
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you?
especially one of the good ones like Hot Chick.
And definitely if you're not Rob Schneider.
Oh my god, my first boner. Okay, so this movie starts with.
Very disappointed you even remember a joke from that movie.
Okay, I think I mentioned it recently, but for some reason we watched it a couple of weeks ago. Whenever we also watched, what was that other movie? Mean Girls. So it just happened to me recently. Also, for some reason, one of my friends when I was in high school or whenever, we used to say that all the time. I don't know. Okay, so the wraparound story starts with I just call. Most of these people I called by their real names. So we start with Debbie Harry, who is coming back from the supermarket in a cute little town where she's driving around and waving at everybody and talking about choir practice and whatnot. She comes into her house, and in the kitchen we see a closet doorknob jiggling around, which doesn't make any sense because the phone. Okay, well, we'll get to that. The phone rings, and she talks to her friend. Essentially, we find out that she's throwing a dinner party, and she's getting ready for it. So she opens the closet door, and inside there is a cage with a child in it. As we said, it's Matthew Lawrence.
Yeah,
and he's inside the kitchen cage where like I don't think he can reach the door, so I don't know why the doorknob is jiggling, but it's fine. And he essentially is.
I never even thought about that.
I literally didn't put that together until like this moment. I don't know why. He's throwing
Way to
a
go,
fit.
John
essentially.
Harrison.
Yeah, get it together, bro. Yeah, throwing a fit because he's locked in a cage, and she's basically trying to like figure out timing on a recipe because she's gonna cook them. And
That's good eating.
I mean, if you're having a dinner party, a 8-year-old seems like round about the right size. I assume he's 8. I don't know how old kids are.
All kids are 8.
She basically, I mean, honestly, until they're teenagers. She describes basically like that she's gonna like cut him open and take out his organs and then stuff him with veggies and whatnot. And he's got to be in the oven by at least 1:30 in order to be ready for the party at 8. So, inside the cage, his name is Timmy, but
His name is Martin Lawrence.
His name is Martin.
Martin Lawrence is one of the Lawrence brothers, right?
No.
Yeah.
I think that's a different Martin brother.
I assume they're all related.
Lawrence brother. Martin brother. Oh my god. There's too many names. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, too many people have names.
Yeah. Stop having names, I guess.
Is Grand Theft Parsons worth watching?
Oh, that's okay.
I don't know why I just fell down this rabbit hole of Christina Applegate movies.
I was wondering how that came up.
I clicked on Robert Sedgwick on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
And one of like the top movies he's in had like Christina Applegate like on the cover, and I was like, "The fuck is this movie?" And then I just started looking at Christina Applegate movies.
Wow.
Alvin and the Chipmunks. Gonna watch all those.
Yeah. Ooh. So he basically has this. She has like thrown in a book for him to read, which is Tales from the Darkside. Because he gets bored in his kitchen cage, and it's her childhood favorite. So he's essentially just like, before you eat me, why don't I tell you a story? And she's like, sounds good. So the first segment is called Lot 249. It was adapted by Michael McDowell, who did work on like Beetlejuice, Nightmare Before Christmas, and podcast's favorite, Sinner. Adapted from only Nathan's favorite. Adapted from a Sir Arthur Conan Doyle story. So here we go. This stars Christian Slater, my main man, Steve Buscemi,
Julianne Moore, Tom Cruise
and
is the
Robert
Mummy.
Sedgwick. Is the Mummy credited even, actually?
At least not on Letterboxd, but
Michael
played by John Mummy.
Played by
John
Under Wraps
Mummerton.
Mummy.
John Gundam.
I wish.
John Gundam Wing.
Pilot Wing. Okay, here we go. So basically, the story starts with Christian Slater being a cool tennis dweeb. Not really a dweeb. They're like rich, preppy dudes, right?
Yeah,
and he's talking to
pretty much the worst.
They fucking suck. He's talking to his friend Lee, who is Robert Sedgwick, about how Lee and his girlfriend basically like cheated, and she wrote this paper that won him a scholarship, right? And they've also framed Steve Buscemi because he was also trying to get the scholarship, and so he doesn't get the scholarship, obviously. And Steve Buscemi is an artifact collector and is like doing artifact work for the school that they go to or whatever. And he's just had something delivered.
Can we stop for a second to discuss how much fucking money Steve Buscemi must have to just straight up buy a mummy? On top of
I
all
know.
of the other shit he apparently owns.
I don't think
So-
you're allowed to do that.
I mean,
No,
I feel
and
like
his-
if you're
his-
Elon Musk, you could probably just buy a mummy on the black market somehow. But like,
Yeah.
I was like, this dude's in college, I guess. I don't understand what his role is in this universe, but I was like, the amount of money to buy a mummy
Flat out buy a
alone
mummy.
on top of all of this other shit he owns, he's got to be a billionaire.
Well, and it's like, doesn't make a lot of sense too, because like he makes a comment to Lee about how Lee was like, you know, a rich kid, like born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but Steve Buscemi really needed that grant. Maybe don't be buying mummies, bro. Like, his whole apartment is decked out in like artifacts, and then he bought the mummy under the guise of he's gonna resell it. But I'm like,
Yeah, you should steal the mummy instead.
I mean,
Yeah.
he bought it though.
No, I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't
You're
know.
saying
I
he
don't
shouldn't
know.
have bought it because he should have stolen it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Except for that, I don't think he could have, like, physically stolen it.
Yeah, that's why you get your best friend, Christian Slater, to
Uh,
help.
I mean, he's
Well-
up running around. The mummy probably would have just followed him.
I assume Christian Slater's got a skateboard at all times, so...
That's true. You can move a lot of objects with skateboards. So, he just had something delivered. Obviously, spoiler alert, it's a fucking mummy. But
What?
Christian Slater and his friend want to see it, of course. So Steve Buscemi opens the crate, and it is a, like, stone... I don't know if this is what is a sarcophagus, but it's like a stone thing. And the mummy's inside, right? So Lee is, like, looking at it, and he's kind of freaked out because it's, like, a musty old mummy. And he leaves. He immediately goes home to tell his girlfriend, Susan, who is Juliana Moore, who is in the show Christian Slater's sister.
This was her first movie role, I think.
Is it really?
I think so.
Wow.
Hi, Geese.
There's some geese. This is the Geese first podcast appearance?
Well, at least on ours.
Yeah. So Lee immediately tells Susan about the mummy and about how Steve Buscemi, like, definitely knows that they're the ones that framed him. And essentially what happened was they stole, like, an obsidian penis, like, from a display. They're calling it, like, a fetish item or
Yeah,
something.
the Zuni fetish something.
Yeah, and they, like, stole it and framed him. And then that's why he didn't get the scholarship, because the committee is like, well, we got a tip that you stole it or whatever. And Steve Buscemi definitely knows who knows it. And Lee tells Susan, and Susan's just like, what's he going to do? Essentially. Like, what is he going to do? Well, I'll fucking tell you what he's going to do.
Good point.
Yeah, well, so Steve Buscemi is, like, cutting the mummy's wraps open to reveal his face. He's looking kind of crusty, to be honest. And basically he, like, describes to Christian Slater, like, the embalming process, how they, like, use, like, forceps is probably not the right word, but they use, like, a clamp to, like, pull his nose out through his
I mean,
pull
just
his
like
brain
a
out
hook.
through his nose. And then they, like, take out blah, blah, blah. They, like, replace all of his internal organs with, like, myrrh and flowers and shit.
Onions.
And onions. So he's, like, pulling... he, like, cuts him open, and he's, like, pulling shit out. And then finally he pulls out a scroll. And Christian Slater's like, man, what does that say? And Steve Buscemi's like, I don't know how to read third period orthographic. He said some bullshit. But guess what, you guys? He fucking knows how to read it. Because that night...
Liar.
Steve Buscemi reads the scroll, and Christian Slater overhears him chanting and shit and saying the ritual, and then the power goes out. Christian Slater goes downstairs to, like, he also can't figure out how to turn the lights back on. He's, like, fucking with the breaker or whatever, and something comes and knocks him down. And he's like, what the fuck was that? Steve Buscemi comes down and is just like, hey, man, what's going on? And then they hear a scream, and it's Susan, and something or someone
Bumped into
also
her.
knocked him down. I feel like we should do like book readings with, like, dramatic reenactments. Now I can read, and then you and Kit can just do the voices.
Yeah,
in the
but
back.
I can't really do
Following sounds.
I can't do anyone's voices, so it would have to be me reading. And Katie doing like 90% of the voices as a newsie.
Yeah, there's
Oh
a
my
mummy, see?
Really unrelated to this, but related to what you said. I saw this like TikTok of this woman who does reads audio for audiobooks, and she was assigned this like erotic book, but the people wanted her to read it in like a Minnesotan accent. So she did a sample of it, and it was the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my life. It was so funny.
You should listen to Duke Nukem reading 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh shit, I'm in.
It's incredible.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm in.
It's like, gently I put the beads in her ass. Like, what?
Wow, I hate it.
The guy that played the mummy in this was in the Lance Henriksen Pit in the Pendulum.
Was he the
Shit.
pit?
He
I
was.
was gonna say that.
He was
Or was he
uncredited
the
as a
Pendulum?
guard.
Oh man,
He was also
probably wearing the same makeup too.
in Ghoulies too,
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh.
What a king.
and Romero's Day of the Dead, and Evil Spawn, and Cellar Dweller.
Okay,
and
go you.
The Guyver,
Tom
What a
Cruise has
crew.
been
Puppet
in a lot of
Masters
stuff.
3, Return of the Living Dead 3, Beastmaster 3. A lot of threes.
That's his number.
Little Nicky as Gary the
Oh.
Monster. He was
Okay.
Sasquatch in Sabrina the Teenage Witch TV show.
Amazing.
Holy shit, he was the fucking monster in Abominable. What
So
a,
we have a
what
king
fucking
on our
ki-
hands.
Yeah, he was.
I'm sorry that I said
Legend.
that we said you were Tom Cruise. Okay, you're definitely better than Tom
I mean,
Cruise.
he looks like
I
Tom
don't.
Cruise a little bit. Actually, he kind of looks like
Yeah.
Zack Snyder.
Zach Cruz.
Snyder. I forgot the other name for that guy. Tom. Tom Snyder.
Snyder Tom.
All right. Okay. So Susan basically had come over to quote unquote just visit her brother, Christian Slater. But what she actually came for was to go into Steve Buscemi's apartment and hide the fetish object in there. And Christian Slater sees her do it. And Steve Buscemi is just kind of like, so because after whoever it is knocks into both of them and runs out, Christian Slater like runs after to try and like see who it is or whatever. And Steve Buscemi's like, did you see him? And Christian Slater's like, not really. He looked kind of weird. And he was just like, yeah, he was probably on drugs. He stole my rings. Anyway, and I was like, what? So meanwhile, Lee is sleeping on the couch and he hears somebody break in. He goes to investigate and surprise, it's the mummy who chokes him out and then pulls his brain out through his nose using a hanger.
That's what you get for falling
Hell
asleep
yeah.
to watching Dawn of the Dead.
What else did you expect to happen,
Yeah.
honestly? So Susan arrives home and looks down and sees Lee's brain in a bowl of fruit and is like, oh no, Lee, are you okay?
Probably not.
Susan finds his dead body. Also, she sees the mummy leaving out the back door, and she's just kind of like, So Christian Slater goes to Susan's, like, she calls him and is just like, hey, are you busy? Lee's fucking dead, like, essentially is what happened. So he goes over there, and Susan is like, okay, well, listen, I saw who killed Lee, and she, like, describes him, and this is when Christian Slater realizes that it's the mummy. And so he goes to Steve Buscemi, who is like the dean of their department and also like the museum curator are at his apartment, essentially kicking him out for having stolen the penis. And he's trying to say like, no, Susan was the one that did it. She hid it here. They don't believe him at all. And the curator's just like, oh, also Christian Slater shows up and is just like, hey, bro. And the curator's just like, oh, wow, look at this sarcophagus. Cool. man, we would have really loved to have this at the museum. Too bad the mummy's not in it or whatever. And Christian Slater's like, oh, where's the mummy? Steve Buscemi's like, oh, I'm a little busy, kid. That wasn't a very good
Are they
impersonation,
I'm
but
very confused as to how old Steve Buscemi is supposed to be in this movie.
I have no idea. I
Because
have
Steve
no
Buscemi,
idea.
no matter what, always looks like he's like 48 years old.
Honestly, yes. Okay, so the mummy shows up to kill Susan. She's ready for that bitch, and she tries to fight him off. Like, not very good, though. She just, like, throws a vase at him and, like, whatever. He ends up killing her. And when Christian Slater, like, shows up at her house,
stuffing her full of flowers.
she is stuffed full of flowers, and she's also wrapped in, I don't know, it's not toilet paper, but she's, like, wrapped up kind of like a mummy, essentially. Steve Buscemi is, like, chilling, and he gets knocked out. And when he wakes up, he has been tied up to a chair, and Christian Slater is just like, hey, bro, I'm going to roast your nuts because you killed my best friend and my sister. And Steve Buscemi is like, I didn't kill them. But Christian Slater is not here for his bullshit. He has brought with him a electric carving knife, which is like the second movie in a row we've done with one of those. So that was cool. And basically when the mummy like shows up behind him, he just starts sawing the mummy's legs off, like no big deal. And basically he like cuts the mummy's legs off, and then he's just like, don't worry, I'm not going to call the cops. Like, who's going to believe that a 5,000-year-old mummy is like killing people or whatever? And he's just like, I have another idea though. And so he waits. So the mummy like is crawling towards Steve Buscemi, and they kind of like give the like impression that like Christian Slater is going to let the mummy kill him. So the mummy like climbs up his body, and then he waits till he's like up there, and then he just like saws the mummy's head in half. And it's pretty gross. There's like bugs and shit crawling around. Steve Buscemi's like throwing up in his mouth tape and stuff. And then Christian Slater throws the mummy's head into the fire, and it's just like, okay, well, that's that. Where's the scroll? And Steve Buscemi's like, oh, don't worry about it. The scroll only worked for that one mummy. And he's just like, I don't fucking care. Like, tell me where it is. He's like starting to like douse him with lighter fluid or whatever. And he's just like, oh, it's in the shell. In the shell. It's in the drawer.
The gas station.
That's where everybody keeps their scrolls, I assumed.
Yeah.
That's
where I leave mine.
Yeah. So he gets the scroll, and he lights it on fire. And he basically, he torches it. So the next day, Steve Buscemi is like leaving the school. Christian Slater's like mean mugging him, and he's just like, don't worry, you'll never see me again.
But I'll
then he
keep
says
in
something
touch.
like, yeah, but I'll find whatever. Because so he gets in the
Sexually.
back.
And he starts rubbing his nipples and just fades away.
Oh, no.
And that's the end.
It's the version I
would think
watched.
that would be the ending if it was like Willem Dafoe, I feel. So he gets in a taxi cab, and he's like back there laughing, and the guy's like, hey, what's so funny? And Steve Buscemi is just like, that fucking idiot doesn't know the difference between a 3rd century hieroglyphic blah 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 and a blah 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 something else. He says a bunch of big words.
Pornographic pictograph or some shit, he says.
Well, yeah, whatever. So essentially it's just like Christian Slater burned the wrong scroll, and he still has it. And so
that idiot, that fool.
So he says like the spell or whatever, and then that night Christian Slater's like on the phone with his mom, and it's like, yeah, I'll see you next week, whatever. The door busts open, and it's his zombie sister and Lee, and they're like, Steve Buscemi sends his regards, and he's like, and then that's the end of segment 1.
Segment 1 is the one that specifically feels very creep show.
Yeah.
I guess technically the cat one kind of does too, but like I only think that because George Romero did Two Evil Eyes with Argento, like the 2 Poe stories, and it kind of has the same feel as like the one with the cat. So, But this one
Yeah.
felt like I feel like you could slot this into Creepshow 1 or 2 and it will like totally fit.
I feel like both of the first two are very Creepshow feeling to me, and the third one not so much, but the third one, of course, is my favorite.
The third one feels very Tales from the Crypt to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was Lot 249, and
I get like one of the things too, like that I kind of really like, especially with like this segment and then the next one, is like there's some pretty cool cinematography in it, like when Steve Buscemi gets knocked down in the hallway and it's just like the flashlight hits the ground and is rolling back and forth, and at just some point it's like nothing there, and then it just rolls back and like lights up Steve Buscemi's face on the ground. And there's like a cool shot in like the next one with New York Dolls talking to the guy about, he's like telling him the story about the cat, and it would cut from like, you know, something happening where they're showing you the story's telling, and it would like pull forward and then both their faces like pop in. Like, I don't know, there's like cool like camera shit in this movie that I feel like I don't really see people talk about a lot.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I feel, yeah. We also get cat vision.
Hell yeah, we do.
So, yeah, that was Lot 249. Back in the wraparound, Deborah is just like, great story, but it's almost 1 o'clock, so it's time for you to get eaten or whatever. And she pulls out her oven, like the tray in her oven, and it's like long and child size,
like
which I thought was so funny. Yeah, I'm like, how? So she pulls it out,
ready.
and yeah.
Well, I assume this is like a once a week thing, so.
I mean, probably.
Could you imagine having like Lowe's come to your house and you're just like, I need my oven to be the size of a person. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, like, can you make this like 6 feet long? Also skinny though, not like proportional. It's not like a huge oven. It's like a still like thin, you know, like the width of an oven, but the length is really deep. Anyway, she's like, yeah, time to get roasting. And he basically just like is like, oh, but let me tell you one more story. This one's really, really scary. And she's like, okay, but make it fast. So now we're on to The Cat from Hell, which, as I said, was adapted by George Romero from a Stephen King short story of the same name from '77. You can find that story in Doohickey and also Just After Sunrise. And yeah, so this was the one that was like legit supposed to be in Creepshow 2, and they just scrapped it. This one stars, like we said, David Johansen and also William Hickey. And then the other people I had never heard of, so sorry. William Hickey, I feel like maybe you don't know his name, but his voice is so iconic. So yeah, so basically this starts out with a super rich old guy named Drugan, and he has hired...
Fucking Game of Thrones ass name.
I know. He has hired a man named Halston, for a job. So Halston arrives at the mansion, and Drugan says, I got a hit for you. And he's just like, okay, yeah. There's a lot of small talk in this segment that I just kind of like cut out. So essentially he's just like, I have a hit for you. And he's like, okay, who? And he's like, your victim is right behind you. So Halston like pulls out his gun and is like, oh shit. And he turns around. And it's just a black cat. Trigger warning for this one, sort of, maybe. I don't know. It's not... The cat doesn't really get hurt, but there's, like, violence towards animals, so I don't know.
Yeah, but the cat wins.
Basically. So he sees the cat, and he's like, what the fuck? What? And so Drugan gives him an envelope with $50,000 in it and says, there's another $50,000 in it for you when the cat is dead. And he goes on to explain that the cat has killed 3 people in his family, and he's next. He used to live in the house with his sister's friend, and the butler. And they were just a bunch of rich and unhappy people. And then the cat showed up. And his sister, for some reason, Drugan knew that this cat was bad news. I'm assuming it's just because it was like stereotypes about black cats. And he's like, that cat's gonna kill us, and she wouldn't hear anything about it. So basically, what happened is one night his sister went to feed the cat, and the cat tripped her, and she fell down the stairs. Anyone that owns a cat knows that that is literally something that could happen to you at any second of the day.
We just don't have stairs.
I mean, honestly. Maytel loves to do this thing where she like bolts down the stairs in front of you and then immediately stops on like the 5th step. So if you're not watching, you literally will fall and die. So it's cute. They get kind of ridiculous from this point on because the next one is her friend who is sleeping in bed, and the cat comes in and like smothers her by like getting on her face and then like wrapping its legs around her head to the point where she suffocates and dies.
I like when he just puts his paw over her mouth.
And she's like,
yeah.
And it's like, wow, wow. So she dies by suffocation. No breathing. And then the next one is that Drugan has sent the butler to, also, I think that the butler's name was Dick Gage, which made me laugh really hard. Sends the butler to take the cat to the vet to be put down. And on the way there, the cat basically like gets out of the carrier and scratches him a bunch and makes him flip the car, and he dies. Halston kind of doesn't believe him. He's just like, okay, like, are you like, did you see this happen? Also, like, why do you think the cat is like out to get you? And it turns out that Drugan owns a really like a pharmaceutical company, which is why he's like rich. And they've tested their drugs on cats, and 5,000 cats have died because of it. And the cat wants revenge, which honestly, good for the cat because that's terrible. And so Halston's just kind of like, I don't know, fine. Like, I think you're crazy, but it's $100,000. Okay, I'll kill this cat. As soon as he agrees, the cat has like come and like jumped on his lap and is like being all sweet. And as soon as he's like, okay, fine, I'll kill the cat becomes like aggressive and like scratches him or whatever. And Drugan's just like, okay, see you tomorrow. And he leaves. So Halston starts drinking some whiskey and just kind of like walks around. This is where we get a lot of like cat vision of the cat just kind of like prowling around
Very
and like
purple.
attacking him. Yeah. Just like attacking him, and it's like it's like hectic looking or whatever. And the cat scratches him, and he gets really, really mad because there's blood on his $100 shirt. And I'm like, maybe if you're a hitman, you shouldn't wear an $100 white shirt if your job is killing people.
It's part of the uniform.
Just a thought.
It's dress
White
code.
though?
Yeah.
Well, then don't. I don't feel like you have the right to get mad about it. But now it's personal, and he wants to kill the cat because the cat made his shirt dirty.
Yeah, the cat owes
So-
him a suit.
Yeah. The geese are back.
Hello.
So
Steve
he-
Buscemi.
okay. So then there's
Whatever,
kind
that
of,
was
like,
good.
a long there's kind of just like a long scene of like him looking around, chasing the cat, talking to the cat. He's like trying to inject it with drugs, which good luck with that. And the cat,
Anyone who's ever had to try to give a cat medicine, like,
not happening. Especially like a syringe. Come on, you need at least 2 people for that.
yeah.
So it's not working. The cat eventually like jumps up and like scratches the shit out of his balls, I assume. And Halston like at that
I forgot
point
about that.
at that point is like, I'm done fucking around, you little shit. And he takes out what I assume is an assault rifle. I don't know anything about guns, but we're
It's a
just gonna
laser
say
gun.
that's what it is.
Why would you not just use that first?
Well,
Like, you could have saved yourself so much trouble.
except that he kind of wrecks up Drugan's house because he keeps shooting at the cat and he can't hit it. So,
Who
like,
cares? It's not his
I
house.
don't know. That's true. Anyways, he is like getting increasingly like crazy and mad. Holly's here. Hey, girl. I knew you would show up for the cat vengeance segment.
Yeah, great. Katie's about to get murdered by a cat.
No, we're friends. Hi. Yeah, so he's getting like more and more irate because he keeps missing or whatever. And eventually the cat just like runs at him and forces itself down his throat. Like the cat goes into his mouth and down his throat. And the next morning, Drugan comes home, and finds Houston dead.
Stupid name.
And it's pretty bad. It's pretty stupid. And it's just like, what the fuck? What? And the clock strikes noon, I don't know, basically. And then the cat just like forces its way back out of Houston's mouth. Some of this looked okay because like both ways, because it was like a fuzzy prop at some points. Someone's yelling.
I think the only time that like it looks sort of like extra fake is whenever like the head of the cat is coming out.
Yeah, it's like literally one of those like fake Halloween decoration cats that you put somewhere and then it goes meow. You know, like rubber.
Y'all say it looks fake, but you've never seen a cat crawl out of a person's mouth. You don't know what it looks like.
I have actually. I've lived a life.
Yeah.
I've seen my fair share of cats. I know what they do.
So yeah, it comes out of Houston's mouth.
Burrow inside people. It's warm. You know, that's what they do.
Can you blame them, honestly? So, yeah, essentially, Drugan sees this and has a heart attack. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, like anybody would.
And the cat cleans itself. That's the end of that segment. Debbie's back and she's just like, wow, that one was really scary, but I really like love stories the most. And then Matthew Lawrence is just like,
why would this be her favorite book if she wants love stories? I'm so baffled that she's like, this is my favorite.
Well, we have a love story next.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do.
You never see this dude and this demon thing fuck. Not once.
They allude to it. There's some boob.
Yeah, but like I want to see it as the demon.
Oh well, no, that's not. That's how it. Anyway, so
this whole story is like an episode of Catfish.
That was scary, but I like love stories, and he's just like, okay, well, I have this one really, really scary love story. Let me tell it to you. It'll be the last story. And she's like, fine. So now we have Lover's Vow, which is, again, written by Michael McDowell. And this one was actually based off of a Japanese folklore tale called Yuki-onna that is from the book version of what they based that movie Kawaii on. So that's pretty cool. And this one stars James Remar and Ray Don Chong, who I love. And I don't really know if I knew any of the other people. So
I only recognize
John Gundam is back.
Yeah. Gundam Wing.
Okay. So basically this segment starts with Preston, who is an artist, and he hates his artwork, which honestly is really relatable.
I was gonna ask,
biggest mood.
The very beginning of this story, does this touch a nerve?
Yeah.
We just start smashing his weird popsicle thing.
I was gonna say, except for that, he's made like a I was gonna say Pop-Tart, a like sculpture out of like popsicle sticks, and then it's like and like breaks it, and I was like, okay, well.
Yeah, I'm not throwing away all the hard work that I did. I'm just gonna regret it forever.
It just it felt very much like a mom or dad who's like having to put together a kid's like thing because like they didn't tell him and just do until like the next that day.
Yeah, pretty much. So he's like, wow, I hate it. And he gets a phone call from this bar because he was supposed to have met his agent there and he forgot about it. So he gets there and is just like, sorry, I was doing art. And his agent essentially just like, dude, your art sucks. No one wants to buy it. I'm not your agent anymore. Goodbye. It wasn't that harsh, but essentially that's what happened.
It was pretty harsh though.
And so he leaves. Preston gets drunk, and he goes to leave. His friend is like, "Oh, I'll walk you home. It's only a couple blocks." But Preston stops to drain the lizard. And his friend sees something weird and, of course, shoots at it with his gun. It's got wings. We don't see it yet. And the thing just, like, cuts off his hand and then just, like, fucking slaps his head off. So he's not doing too hot.
He's going to have a rough day at work tomorrow.
Yeah. Preston is like, oh, my God, what? Because, you know, his friend was like, help me. And then he got his head slapped off. And it lands, and it's a giant, what is supposed to be a gargoyle. It looks very much more demon-y to me. But I love the way that it looks. I love this gargoyle. And
it does,
the gargoyle
cool.
says, and like, not for nothing, but I think this is definitely where they spent all of their budget, because it's like a full gargoyle suit that's like puppetry, I assume. Yeah, and it looks really cool.
I feel like this, and then like the transformation at like the end of the story, probably.
Oh my God, so good. Yeah.
Who did the effects on this? Was it K&B?
Steve Buscemi.
Oh man, I wish. That'd be incredible.
He's the makeup and effects guy also.
I love that for him. I don't know, actually.
How is Letterboxd not going to have the effects on this? I'll look it up. You can continue. I just was curious.
Okay. So the gargoyle lands and says, I'll spare your life if you swear to never tell anyone that you saw me or heard me speak. And he's like, what the fuck? And she's just like, promise forever. And he's like, okay, fine, fuck. He's just like, yeah, that's weird, but I promise. And then he throws up, which honestly. So the gargoyle leaves. He is walking home still, super freaked out, when he sees a woman walking by herself, and he grabs her, and he's just like, this isn't safe. It's not safe out here. Come up to my apartment. You can call a cab or whatever. Sus, but she agrees. So he basically like is, I don't know, kind of a nice dude, but then when he's like up in his apartment, his like artist loft, he's like looking at her, and he's just like, wow, she's hot. I'm not gonna call a cab. So he calls the cab company, and the guy's like, hello, asshole, and he like hangs up on them and just like, oh, it's busy, I'll try again later. So they kind of just like talk a little bit, and he's in the bathroom. He like takes his shirt off, and there's like these huge like gargoyle scratches, and she comes in and like helps him clean it, and then, you know, they give each other the eyes, and then they do it. The next morning, she comes in and it's just like, last night was very important to me. And he was like, it was a fucking nightmare. And I was like, wow, bro. And she's like, okay, cool, I guess. And he's like, no, like everything else leading up to meeting you was terrible. Like, I love you. Well, he doesn't say I love you, but he's just like, you're important or whatever. So they start making out again, but then they hear all the sirens and shit outside. So he's just like, oh, BRB. And he leaves. And basically we just see like one of the other guys from the bar like being arrested because, you know, like that guy got his head slapped off. And so when he comes back up to the loft, her name is Carola, she's gone. And this is when Preston just becomes like obsessed with the gargoyle and starts drawing it and stuff, drawing it all day. So that night, Carola comes back, and she's got like her stuff with her, and she's just like, hey, my friend's boyfriend came home. I don't really know. And he's just like, don't worry about it. You can stay here. And so then Carolyn's just really casually like, hey, so I called a friend of mine who owns this gallery, and it's like totally not a big deal or whatever, but like she wants to see some of your art. Is that okay? And it turns out that like whoever the friend of the friend is like this big shot art dealer, and he's like, that's the hottest gallery downtown. Wowie zowie. He doesn't say that, but he's like really stoked.
He should.
It would have made it way better. 6 out of
People
5
should
stars.
say wowie zowie, honestly. So we cut to the gallery, his like gallery opening. His work is selling for like $23,000 and like all this shit. And that night they go home and she says, "Are you sorry you met me?" And he's just like, "No, like you take care of me and like I'll take care of you." And then she's like, "Will you take care of me and my child?" And he's like really excited, but instead of just asking for her to marry him, he goes, "Are we going to make this little bastard legitimate?" I was like, bro.
Perfect. How else do you propose?
Who the fuck? So now we cut to 10 years later. Carola pulls a scrap of gargoyle drawing out from Preston's desk because he's been obsessed with the gargoyle the whole time, but he's been hiding it. And just as she is about to like pull it out and look at it, Preston and his agent and then their two kids come through the front door. I assume it's Halloween. They're in costumes, but no one ever says it was Halloween. And she's all dressed up because
like
her and Preston. She's all dressed up because she says that her and Preston are celebrating the 10th anniversary of the night they met. So they go out and they have a nice time. Preston is reminiscing about their life together and like how great it is because she came into his life and like she's given him a family and she's given him success and like all this shit. And he's like trying to like be able to express to her how much he cares about her or whatever. And she basically says like, "There's nothing that you could do for me that you haven't already done." And he's just like, "But there is." And he brings out a lockbox. And inside is like all the drawings of the gargoyle that he's done. He did a sculpture of the gargoyle. And he basically like tells her what happened. And he says, "The only thing I've never given you was the truth." And then she gets up and she starts crying. And she said, "You promised you'd never tell." And then she turns into the gargoyle and it's fucking rad. Her like gargoyle knees like bust out of her knee. And she like
so
literally,
gross.
she's like, "You promised." And she like rips her face off. It's so cool. And she's the gargoyle. And fucking Preston is just like, "Hi, Polly." Fucking Preston is just like, "Stop it. What's happening? Just change back." And I'm like, bro, don't you
scooping
like,
up like her skin and shit off of the floor
trying
to like
to
back
put it
on.
back on her? Like, if she could just choose that, don't you think she would have just chosen not to transform, you fucking idiot? And yeah, so yeah, he's like, "Just change back or whatever." She's like turned into the gargoyle. The kids start screaming in the other room. And the camera pans over, and it's the two kids, but they're just little fucking gargoyles. And everyone's crying, and it's so sad. The little gargoyles are like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" And then she's just like, "Dude, you broke your fucking promise. Like, I loved you, and you fucked it all up," which, I mean, isn't that a man for you?
Look, there's no way if I saw a fucking gargoyle demon, I wouldn't tell everybody I knew immediately. That shit would be on Twitter within like the 3 seconds of that dude turning around.
I feel like I'm right. Also, I feel like if it was me, like, yeah, okay, good, I broke the vow, but I'd still be down. She's hot, you know? Like,
Yeah,
I'd be like, we have a family, we have kids, it's been 10 years, like, it's fine. Like, I'm not gonna, because, like, I get it. The whole point is that he promised he would never say anything to anybody, but he told her, the gargoyle, nobody else knows. So, like, just chill.
What if she didn't know?
That's true. Like, maybe she forgets until he tells her.
What if she was really drunk whenever she murdered that fucking dude in the alley? She said that.
He just brought back like all this PTSD.
That could be true. Anyway, she's like, "You fucking broke the vow, so see ya." And she bites his neck open and he dies. Carola and the two babies fly up through the roof and land on the top of the building and turn to stone together. So sad. Back to the wraparound. Matthew Lawrence is like, she basically
Starting
just
his
like,
boy
oh,
band.
I love stories. Like, that was great, but now it's time to eat, little piggy. And he's like, no, let me tell you, I have this other one that's like really, really, really scary. And she's just like, no, like, it's time. So she like starts walking towards him, and he basically starts telling the story of what happened to him, how he is a paper boy and he went to go collect like his route money for her, and she lured him inside with cookies. And so he came inside, and then she locked him in the kitchen cage. And then he's just like, she's like, that's the story of you. And he's just like, yeah, but then something really weird happened. And she's like, oh yeah, what's that? And basically he pulls marbles out of his pocket and throws them on the floor. She slips on them and falls onto, it's not a block of knives, but it's like a trussing set. So they're sharp, and she falls back on them, and the cart that it's on like rolls back. So he's able to grab the keys and unlock himself, and then he pushes her into the oven. And then he says, don't you just love happy endings? And he crunches on a crispy chocolate chip cookie. And that's the end.
Poor Deborah Harry.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
you shouldn't let little kids tell you stories. That's
yeah,
the
you should just
They're terrible
Mod-
look.
storytellers.
If you're gonna kidnap a
Yeah.
little kid to eat them immediately. Don't let them fucking
Yeah.
do this.
Raw.
yeah.
Yeah, just take a big bite, whole head first. Then
Eat them raw. She should have just had sushi for dinner instead of a roast, you know?
Yeah, this movie is very good.
Whips.
Yes, I love it.
Who was there was something I was. Oh, have you seen John Harrison's Dune, Kit? The guy who directed
No.
this is Frank Herbert's Dune, is what it's called. It's
Is it the sci-fi one?
I don't know, William Hurt's in it. Came out
I think that was the one that was on sci-fi.
yeah, it came out 2000. Yeah, probably. It looks like the studios. It's like a lot of television production shit. So
Yeah. Yeah, it was the TV miniseries. That's the only one I haven't seen yet.
doesn't look
Because
great.
it covers a lot of Children of Dune also, which I'm currently reading. I'm gonna finish that up and then I'm gonna watch it because it looks awful.
It is well, I mean, I guess it's sitting at a 3.1 on Letterboxd, but all the people I follow gave it like a 1
I've seen
star.
worse.
Ooh.
Yeah, David Lynch's Dune. Actually,
Not great, but at least it's pretty.
Dune.
at least it's fucking weird. Cause
Yeah.
any news, Katie?
I saw one news that I care about. For the 35th anniversary, Capcom is releasing a fighting collection that comes out on June 24th. And it's going to be 10 classic fighting games, which, like, they release collections all the time. Who cares? But they're releasing 5 Darkstalkers games on it, which I am so excited about. Because Darkstalkers is, like, one of their, like, 2D fighting games, but all of the characters are, like, horror-themed. So there's, like, a vampire, obviously. There's one of the zombie, quote-unquote zombies, like what we saw in Robo Vampire or whatever. And I just love it. It's been like one of my favorite fighting games since I was like younger. And so I'm really excited that they're going to be releasing a collection. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be on everything, including the Switch. So definitely look out for that.
Is it better than Clay Fighter?
Nothing is.
Maybe Primal Rage.
In theory, Primal Rage and Clay Fighters are up there. But as far as like actually being able to play the game and the controls working, yeah, it's pretty good.
Rude.
I just like, yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Katie.
I was gonna say I just like fucking love over stylized 2D games. Like Guilty Gear, Darkstalkers are like 2 of my favorite like franchises. They're just like so ridiculous. I love them.
I was gonna say, related Capcom fighting games. I saw Ryu's dick earlier. Very girthy.
I well,
Wait, what? What
They
is
they
happening?
teased Street Fighter 6 like with some little like teaser trailer thing, and there's like it's like a upward angle looking at Ryu, right? And
Oh, I thought you
like
said
you could pretty clearly
reused.
see his dick outline, like
yikes,
in his
Gee.
like gi pants.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, hello.
I thought maybe you stumbled onto some like fan
Some
art or
deviant
something
art.
because
Oh no,
I've definitely
this
I've
is
definitely
official. This is
th-
the
this
real
is this is
deal.
this is canon dick.
This
Oh
is a canon
no.
dick. Yeah.
Oh man.
I'll play that game.
Bummer. Well.
Get fucking was it
I,
Blanca?
I
Is that his name?
yeah.
Yes.
See some of that
I
green dick.
I hope this is like they do like Dead or Alive, where it had like the ridiculous titty physics, but
Yeah.
for Ryu's cock, just like bouncing around while he's doing helicopter kicks and shit.
Jiggly wiener mechanic.
Just do like everybody said Tomb Raider had, where you just have like a cheat code you put in, but like then nobody's wearing pants.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you wanted them to like descale it so he would have like triangle dick or
Yeah,
something.
oh, I want that too. And this should all just be like 16-bit.
I want that too. Well, there you go. There's something for everyone.
Katie, what'd you watch this week? These 4 days or whatever.
Oh my god, did I watch anything? Aside from stuff just for the podcast, the only thing that I watched was Nightmare Alley. It was all right. I kind of expected to like it a lot better than I did because it's like about what's it called? Mentalism and shit. But I don't know, it was just okay. There was some pretty good gore in it though towards the end. Yeah, I think that's it.
You watched something else I think I was going to ask about, but I don't remember now.
Was it I think we already talked about Dragon Ball Evolution.
Wait, what? That was definitely not it.
I don't think I watched anything else.
Oh, no, maybe you just rated something that I saw. Like, you rated... Oh, no, yeah.
Oh.
It's Death Drop Gorgeous, I guess. For some reason, I
Yeah,
thought I saw
did
you rate something else, but then I guess that had to have been it.
Yeah, I did also rate... Oh, I didn't rate it. I said that I had watched Space Truckers, which I don't know if you guys have seen that movie.
The Stuart Gordon movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's cool. I mean, it's not good, but...
It is insane. Essentially what happened was I was asleep for the first half of it, and then I woke up and watched the last half. So, like, I have no idea what the fuck happened, but I need to go back and rewatch it because it was, like, I can't imagine it actually makes any sense all the way through. But,
Not really.
Yeah.
Kit, what about you?
I watched Last Night in Soho, which is fine.
Like, I really want to see that.
Yeah, I feel like that is how you felt about Nightmare Alley is how I felt about Last Night in Soho, where I really wanted to like it. And I was like, it's just all right, but there was some good gore at the end, so.
I feel like visually I'm gonna like it a lot, but from what I've seen story-wise, I feel like I'm gonna be like, meh.
Yeah.
28 Days Later, pretty good.
Does it still
I like
hold
that
up
one.
to like modern?
I think so. I didn't realize that they had shot it on like a mini DV camera,
Yeah.
like the same thing that David Lynch used for Inland Empire. That looks awful, which is kind of dope because it makes it feel like it's a Resident Evil game.
I was saying it makes like everything at the end when it's like raining and it's like the kind of big climax or whatever, like
Oh yeah,
feel
almost
very like
unwatchable.
Yeah, static and weird.
But it really
Was
helps
it
with
your
the
first
atmosphere. I
watch?
think.
It worked really well because I don't think I've seen it since I saw it in the theater when it came out, and then
Yeah, this was my first watch
and then I got
of it.
like the
Wow.
DVD or whatever when it came out, and I watched it probably once on DVD, and I don't think I've seen it since. And it worked really well in the theater, but
Yeah.
I was watching it on HBO and I was like, why is my internet dog shit? This looks awful.
it
I was like, wait, no.
it definitely can't transfer to like, you know,
Oh.
big fancy TVs and shit now very well, I would assume.
Good
It
TV.
just looks
it's
like
been
a DVD, like an old DVD.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, so, but I'm glad it kind of held up as a movie, though.
Yeah. Still good.
Did you watch both endings to it?
I didn't realize there was an alternate ending, so I will have to look that
I
up.
remember like one of the big things they did when it came to like movie theaters is they played the alternate ending after the credits. And I can't this point I can't remember
I don't
which
remember
one
it.
is which. How did the movie end with the one you watched? Is it them like on the like spreading out that big ass thing out in the field?
Yeah, so they had the letters all spread out in the field, and the helicopter came to rescue them. So I was like, didn't they learn anything from just encountering all of these military dudes? Like,
If I remember correctly, he dies in the alternate ending.
oh damn.
Like there's like a whole
Bleak.
It's like, yeah, it's real bleak. It's like they're in like a weird kind of abandoned hospital room or some shit, like, or you know, like a makeshift hospital room, and for whatever reason, like he like dies. That's kind of my memory of it, at least.
Oh yeah, it says there were 3 alternate endings. 2 of them were filmed, and the third was only in storyboards.
Yeah.
Damn. They should do that thing where, like, just each theater like gets a different ending.
Yeah, like
you don't
Clue.
know which one you're gonna get.
That would be awesome. The third one is we'll do it and then show it.
All right, I'm in.
All right.
Kit, what'd you think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
It's fine. I don't understand, like, everyone saying it's like the worst, you know, big budget horror movie or worst requel thing that they've seen in however long. Like, it's not even the worst Texas Chainsaw movie.
Yeah, it's
it's watchable. Like, it's fine.
I found it way better than Scream or Halloween Kills, but like that's not saying much.
I was
for
gonna
me.
say it's same level as Halloween Kills for me, I think, and I liked Scream just a little bit more, and that little bit is just because of all of the Dewey stuff in it.
Yeah, just have a David Arquette.
You know? Yeah, there's like, you know, a slightly better emotional connection there because I care about
Right.
David Arquette and
Yeah.
everyone else in the movie for having been in fucking 4 other ones. But
I was thinking about it like all week, where I was just kind of like, I think the thing about this Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing that like really bothered me was how much they like put all of this shit in the trailer or whatever about like Sally's back, where this is a tie-in to the
that
original.
was
so
It's a
tacked
sequel to
on.
the original, and then it's just like they do nothing at all with it.
They call her and she's like, all right, well, I gotta go kill him, and then like the next time she shows up, she gets fucking murdered.
Like,
it's like, oh, okay,
it's also
cool.
like it's also like, what's the explanation as to like why she couldn't find him when he's literally like 10 minutes away from her, and she couldn't find him for 40
Right.
fucking years.
She's been hunting him down her whole life. It's like, did she try looking in the exact same town that they were always in?
Like you,
Because
Their,
that's where he was.
Their explanation was just that guy was like, he was wearing a mask. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
like-
but he's got a pretty particularly built body, you know, like I said, I haven't seen all of them. I have no connection to it or whatsoever, but like to bring, quote unquote, bring her back just for her to be in it for like nothing and then be like fucking killed really easily. I was
Stupid.
like, okay, that seems
Would've-
like,
It would have been, I want to say better, but like I feel like that's a marginal improvement. But I think it makes more sense to not have had her in it at all.
I agree.
yeah, I agree.
Or
yeah.
my idea that they could have made this movie incredible is if she would have ended up being like Dennis Hopper in 2. Like that would have been sick.
They can.
I agree. I don't know what that
do
means.
the hologram thing and bring back Dennis Hopper and be like, oh, he didn't actually die in 2, and now he's out for vengeance.
Like if they would have had her be the crazy like obsessive person and just give her like 2 chainsaws at some point to fight him, like something stupid like that, it would have been way better use and like a cool like nod to the people that have watched all these movies, and especially if you're like going back to say those other ones don't exist in this universe and shit. Like they had so many options to do like something interesting with it, and instead they were just like, I don't know, let's just kind of like just cram in all these fucking terrible characters no one likes.
Yeah. To me, it just felt like anticlimactic to people who are like fans of the series. But
what if they like do the phone call or whatever, but they don't show who it is, and they kind of like were teasing the whole time that they're bringing in Sally, like they're bringing her back or whatever, and they go for the big reveal, but it's Laurie Strode.
Amazing.
And you're just like, what?
10
but then
stars.
the movie ends there because they're gonna get sued.
I do like that they like killed Sally off, because like I wasn't expecting that to happen, so I was kind of like, okay, like at least they had like, it would have been like if like, you know, you were watching Halloween 2018 and like at the end Laurie died, right? Like nobody would have expected it. It would have been extremely cool. So I like that.
I just feel like they could have, if that's what they were going for, they could have done it better. Like, I just feel like they shouldn't have, like, built up that she's been looking for him the whole time. Like, hasn't she been martial arts training or something? Or has she just been, like, hanging out at home and being like, I'm looking for you, like, and, like, not actually looking, you know?
When she first shows up, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be awesome. Like, she's a badass. Then she gets upstairs and she's like, tell me you remember me, and then just lets him like leave, and I was like, what
that was
the
so
fuck?
fucking stupid.
Yeah. Like
why wouldn't you immediately walk in the room and shoot him? Why would you wait for him to like stand up and shit? That's what I'm saying.
At least
stupid.
like shoot him in the gut and then ask him if he remembers you.
I will gladly shit talk a corpse. Like, I don't fucking care.
For
I'll
sure.
blow his brains out and be like, yeah, eat shit, all right?
That's why I was saying I feel like everybody made the exact wrong choice in every situation possible in that movie. Like, that's a prime example.
Yeah, they should have canceled him instead of threatening to cancel him.
It would have been so funny if it was just like, the whole movie was just him looking at his phone and crying.
Yes.
Just get dragged on Twitter.
Just like TMZ, like Leatherface canceled. Like,
I had a moment towards about the last like 15 minutes of the movie that like I thought they might actually go and like kill off Leatherface, which is the thing. Like last week I was like, I thought they were gonna do this like ballsy move that I would have like, it would have redeemed the whole movie if they would have been like, yeah, this ends that timeline of Leatherface, but instead they just obviously didn't do that because now they can make 4 more fucking Netflix sequels.
Guess what, bitches? He's alive for the 12th time.
Now he's 97.
Like, for real.
You know the next one is just going to completely ignore all of the other movies, like all of them have.
Yeah,
they're just going to do another sequel to the original one.
They should do a direct sequel to, like, Next Generation. Just bring back Renee Zellweger as like fucking
oh my god,
final girl.
Matthew McConaughey
for no reason.
No.
Viggo Mortensen shows up from.
Matthew McConaughey is fully cyborg now, though.
So
like they blew his brains out or whatever.
He brings like
so now he's in a robot.
Lord of the Rings cast with him.
Hear me out. There are enough timelines of these movies now that you could do a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, No Way Home.
No Way Home. I was thinking about that because, like, the last time you were talking about the Blue's Clues one, and I'm like, what else can we do this with? Let's just keep it going.
Jessica Biel, fucking a recast Sally, and fuck, I can't think of her name from 2 now. Just all like have to show up to take out all these leather faces.
Let's do it.
Was there anything else you watched, Kit?
No, that was it.
All right. I watched the Female Prisoner Scorpion series and Stray Cat Rock series again. Watched a bunch of shit with this fucking nonsense for the bonus episode.
I saw you watched Popstar again.
Yeah, I did. I watched some like all of the Andy Samberg stuff that was. So I watched Popstar, Hot Rod, 7 Days in Hell, Unauthorized Bash Brothers Experience, the Michael Bolton's big sexy Valentine's Day special. I watched Death Row Game Show, which I did not realize was the director of Nudist Colony of the Dead. And it's surprisingly not terrible, despite also being kind of terrible. But I once I realized who it was from, I was like, wow, this is surprisingly watchable from the director of that terrible movie. And I watched Class Action Park.
Hell
Oh
yeah.
my god.
It's so good.
Insane. Absolutely insane.
I would have loved to have gone there and died.
Yes. I just want to go down that fucking weird cement hill thing that you're on a cart that doesn't have a brake.
It looks so good.
Fucking nightmare.
How did that seems like such a thing for like the Jackass guys to do.
Well, Johnny Knoxville stars in like a movie about that where I think he did like all of the stunts to like.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, but I want to.
I forget what it was called. Was it just Action Park or no?
Something.
Yeah, I forget.
Like that. I don't know. But he was.
But it's based on Action Park, and he does all the actual stunts. And
Checks
he
out.
got
Checks out
several
for sure.
concussions from it.
Yeah, I would
Oh
imagine.
my god.
What the fuck was this movie called? Why is it not
Parktown.
Action Point?
Action Point. That's what it
Oh.
was.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that now. Oh, is that on? Of course, it's gonna have to rent it.
Fucked up.
Yeah. Shout outs. Katie.
I'm gonna shout out the Tales from the Darkside script book. Essentially, they tried to, or were planning to, reboot the Tales from the Darkside TV series in like 2005, and they had Joe Hill as like the showrunner, which I've talked about Joe Hill a shit ton of times, because I think that he's amazing. Obviously, he's Stephen King's son, but he's like different than Stephen King's writing, obviously. But he's actually written a lot of so basically what happened was like they were like, hey, we want to do this, and essentially the episodes are going to be like comic book script length. Like, can you do a pilot? And he was like, yeah. But he ended up writing like 2 seasons of it or something like that, because he just was like super into it, because he like fucking loves Creepshow. Obviously he was like in Creepshow, so it kind of like comes full circle where essentially they never got it off the ground for whatever reason, and so they just like printed the script for the first 3 episodes as like a script book, and it's like hardbound, and then there's like illustrations from somebody who had done comics with him before, because like he's written other comics. I think Lock and Key is probably the most popular because of the TV show now, but he did also do writing for like Spider-Man Unlimited and stuff, so he's like kind of bigger in the comic world also. So I don't know, it is written like a play, so if you want something maybe a little bit different, I'm just going to recommend that.
Oh yeah, what about you, Kit?
I've been watching this incredible reality show called Below Deck.
Oh my god.
I always see a lot of people talk about it, but I'm like, I don't know if I could dive into.
I had no idea it existed before last week. and I cannot stop watching it.
It's from the same
It
people
was-
that did like the VH1 shows, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah.
'Cause it's on Bravo, and so it's streaming on Peacock is what I've been watching it on. I don't know if it's on anything else, but
Boo.
So
Fuck
it's,
Peacock, though.
yeah, Peacock's awful. And I was gonna cancel it until I started watching the show, and I was like, well, fuck, all right. You get $5 more out of me so I can watch all this in a month. But
I
so
like
it's about
unfortunately over like my sister-in-law was watching it, and I like overwatched it by accident a few times, and I'm like, oh my god.
yes, for anyone who doesn't know, it's about a yacht and the crew on the yacht. They do like guest charters, and it's just the most insane, like asshole rich guests, and everyone on the ship is so horny all the time and insane.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like every season has somehow escalated from the previous one. Like this most recent one, the ship has caught on fire, and the chief stewardess is like constantly fighting with the chef, and it's very intense. And meanwhile, this guy that is like in the middle of breaking up with his girlfriend is just banging one of the other stewardesses like every night in the laundry room. It's incredible. It's the best. It's fucking garbage. I love it.
Oh god, I'm gonna end up watching it. I don't know. I got like I'm like so far behind on a bunch of like shit that I probably never will get to it, but
you'd love it, I think.
I'm sure. I hate myself enough.
Texted my friend like we're in the same general area, like on the show, and I'm like, oh my god, I cannot believe this.
This is my shout out. The last movie I watched this week.
Yeah.
Alright. Dragon Sound. Banger. Miami Connections.
best.
The fucking best movie. Next week, what are we doing, Kit? It's your pick.
Ooh.
What are we doing? What, Kronos probably, right?
Yeah, I think
What, I had Lighthouse, Kronos, and
Devil's Reign.
Okay.
when what?
Devil's
Oh,
Reign?
yeah. That's right, Devil's Reign. Yeah. let's
I've
do,
never heard of that in my life.
It's so good. Actually, let's do that. Let's do that next week, because it's like 70s weirdness, and it has Shatner in it. And insane devil worship.
What is it called?
Devil's Reign.
Devil's Reign.
Is this...
Okay.
Did...
Wait, like rain from the sky or rain
Yeah.
from the throne of... Okay.
Like, yeah, water
Okay.
rain.
Okay.
Did Severin or Vinegar Syndrome release this, or am I thinking of something else?
Severin did.
I think I'm like
Where is it?
it's on Tubi and Shudder.
Okay. Cool.
I feel like I was gonna like blind buy it, and I just never did. So we'll see,
I
see if
think
I made a good choice or not.
I think John Travolta is in
Oh,
it
no.
very briefly.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's got Ernest Borgnine in it, so I'm in.
Yeah. Ernest Borgnine's like the head of the devil worshippers, and Tom Skerritt's there, and
Oh, Anton LaVey
it's so good.
is in it.
Yeah, Anton
What?
LaVey's. Yeah, man, it rocks. I'm
Um.
very excited for it.
All right. Well, that's next week. Like I said, Tubi and Shudder. So
All
you
right,
can at
I'm
least
ready.
watch it for free if you don't have Shudder still.
Shuby
Yeah.
and Tutter.
Yeah.
Oh,
Katie, you forgot to tell me to do the Patreon shout out at the beginning of this episode.
oh my god.
Fucked up, Katie.
Okay, listen. I had it written down and I was about to say it, but then you asked me why I picked it, and then I like. I'm sorry, patron.
Well, Jimmy Beans our new patron. You're getting
Jimmy!
shouted out like Katie did at the other episode at the end of it.
We're sorry, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Whoever you are. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for joining the Patreon. All that shit.
There's lots of good stuff on there. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
You can listen to
many of
Katie
the
and I
other
talk
things
about
we've talked
Amityville
about.
for too many episodes.
Amityville. There's new metal movies. There's Danny DeVito.
I don't know if they get any of those. I think they just get the
Banger.
ones that are free. Like the extra ones we did. I
thought
think
those
they
were
were
free.
$2.
Oh. Well, if you pay more, then you can listen.
There's a bunch of free episodes on there. You can listen to Katie and I talk
Listen,
about Spider-Man for like an hour of a Christmas episode for some reason.
Listen, Jimmy, I obviously don't have my shit together, okay? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
and none of us do. There's been a pandemic for 2 years. Leave us alone. But yeah, if you want to join our Patreon, patreon.com/IHopeYouSufferPodcast. You can get all those episodes Katie said a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, and lots more. There's like at least 15.
There's more.
Probably.
There's at least, I think there's like 18 maybe like regular bonus episodes, not
Okay,
counting
well-
the ones that we did extra.
Well, I wasn't lying.
Yeah.
I said there was at least 15.
You can get merch at our Store Frontier shop. Leave us a rating on Spotify and a rating and review on iTunes.
Please.
Tell us how bad you think a cat crawling into your digestive system would be.
Not great.
I see. It's probably. I don't
yeah,
know.
I can't imagine.
Cats are pretty fuzzy and warm to lay against. It might be nice.
Tell us if you would marry a
Tell us if you would
gargoyle
fuck that
demon.
gargoyle.
Listen, yes.
You can follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. Follow Kid at Hidden Kitstery. Follow Katie at Werewolf Face. You can listen to my other podcast named Kate Movie Club. Watch Devil's Reign next week. Watch Kronos too. Why not?
Yeah.
It's always a good time for Kronos.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you.
Matthew, but
I
Lauren.
hope you, Lawrence brothers, but the best.
I hope you Gundam, but Wing.
Yeah, that's what I should have said.